before they actually get it done. Just a stunner.
Yeah, shocking. And you know what? We talk about this Edmonton Oilers team being a resilient group. Well, they showed that tonight, and this game is over. Like, if the Florida Panthers score first in a game, good luck, because all they do is build a lead, and they did that. And if the game is over, then it feels like the series is over, because that's going to be a really steep hill for the Edmonton Oilers to climb out of. Well, guess what? They didn't let that deter them. This game, you change your goaltender, even though Stuart Skinner didn't play awful in the first period, but you get a different feeling around the group, and then you slowly start to chip away at things. You know, you score 5 goals in this game, and 4 of those goals are going to be from players that aren't McDavid or Draisaitl. You know, another testament to the depth of this group, and when the depth is going, this group is really going. And of course, Leon Draisaitl, who finishes things off. If you were going to get a win, you knew the big boys were going to have to show up and have a response. And Draisaitl and McDavid, they seem to have those responses. Now 21-16 in 37 games after a defeat. This was a really resilient effort by the Oilers.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, for me, it's a blend of shock and awe, and the awe comes in awesome of the Edmonton Oilers and the comeback that they mounted here. And the shock comes in the form of the Florida Panthers not being able to protect that 3-0 lead.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they come out to a picture-perfect first period start. The Oilers run into penalty trouble again. The Panthers make them pay. It looks like it is game, set, and match. And now we're wondering, okay, is this thing going to end in 5 in Edmonton? And the resiliency of the Edmonton Oilers and the tough call by coaching. Maybe it wasn't a tough call, but you know, it's a decision that you have to make that goalie change coming into the second period.
It's only tough because this time, if you pull Skinner, I don't think you can't go back to him again, right? Like it's Pickard now for the rest of the
But
way.
it's part of the spark, right?
Yeah.
Got
It's
his
part of the
7th win
spark.
in a row, right? And so, yeah, he had to come in and play well. And you said it, Dregs. You know, this was a team in the first period that they were overwhelmed with the forecheck of the Florida Panthers. They were dumping it in. They were working below the goal line. They were finding ways to get those attempts on net. And of course, I think the high dangers you had mentioned, they were 13-1 after the first period in favor of the Florida Panthers. So the surprising element was the second period for the Edmonton Oilers, which has been their nemesis throughout the playoffs in this series, and they find a way to get 3 unanswered in that second period alone. It starts on the power play with RNH.
20-3, the high danger chances for the Oilers in that second period. So let's get to the comeback in a second, but first the OT winner, as it happens so often in overtime of a Stanley Cup playoff game. It's not some spectacular top shelf shot. It's a play where Draisaitl looks like he's just trying to push the puck forward, maybe to Perry, and ends up in the back of the net.
Well, it starts in the back end, and it's going to be Ekholm. You know, you have a stretch pass, but it's going to be Puck Colson. I thought he made an excellent play to make that pass, but you got Corey Perry driving the net, and anytime you're driving the net and you're Corey Perry, you're going to Bobrovsky. But when you look at it, it's going to be the quick play. You recognize you can move that puck up, and now all of a sudden Puck Colson bumps it. Perry actually leaves it. I love the shield though of Leon Draisaitl. He's got pressure, he recognizes he's got that pressure, and he uses one hand to shovel it towards the net. You know, notice that Perry had left that puck for Leon Draisaitl, and he continues on to the weak side. So I think that Bobrovsky thinks that that puck is sliding across to Corey Perry. So he's moving and opens up that 5-hole and gets redirected in the net.
And the little things, the little tiny moments that can change a game, that can change a series, because Frederick almost puts one off the back of his foot and off the post, and then they win it there. And then Pickard makes a save that not only saved the game, but if the Oilers win the Cup, will go down in history as saving their season.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, I didn't think Stuart Skinner had a bad first period, but you have to remember, Calvin Pickard never lost the net for the Edmonton Oilers because of poor play. He lost the net because he was hurt. So he was playing well in the playoffs. So you have to have a certain level of comfort going back to him, knowing that, your season, your Stanley Cup aspirations were on the line. And, you get a big save in overtime where Sam Bennett, that goes off the glove and off the crossbar. And that's a player who is as hot as any player in these playoffs right now, who leads the Stanley Cup playoffs in goals. And there's your guy who you went to give your team a little bit of a spark, made the saves he was supposed to make, and then he made a few along the way that you're not exactly accounting for.
Playoffs started, Oiler fans hoped they'd never see Calvin Pickard. And then once Skinner got back in there, they hoped they'd never see him again. and now he might be their hope to win the Stanley Cup. Let's look at his numbers in the playoffs. Just remarkable. Now 7-0. Look, the goals against the save percentage, nothing spectacular, but the record is all that matters at this point. Here's Calvin Pickard with Emily Kaplan.
I mean, we didn't have our best start, but we like to do things the hard way. So great second and third. Obviously a crushing goal to give up at the end of regulation, but coming out in overtime, we regrouped, had some good looks, and got a bounce.
So after that first period, you guys are down 3-0. Taping inside the locker room, how do you find out you're going in?
We had to clean up some things for sure. Stop taking penalties, and but there's so much belief, especially when we're down in that room. I can't tell you how many times we've came back in games. We play some of our best hockey when we're chasing from behind. But like I said, we like to do things the hard way, and there wasn't much room for error there in the second and third, but we got it done.
So what's your mindset when you go out there for the second? Because you haven't started a game in about a month.
Yeah, I can't worry about anyone else's job. I just got to go out there and keep hitting the ball back. And obviously, you can look at it like it's 3-0. You don't want to give up another one because maybe the game is over. But if you look at it that way, you're obviously just going to be, putting too much pressure on yourself. So just went out there. We played really well in the second period. Obviously, got a couple goals early, and we had them on their heels for a lot of the night.
Describe. This team believes in you so much. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, going in those situations makes me, more comfortable. My teammates have my back, and I have my teammates' back. Just gotta keep going.
Now tied 2-2, going back to Edmonton instead of starving off elimination. How important was this win?
Oh, it was huge. Obviously, giving up that goal at the end. It can be a little tough, obviously, going into the room there, but there's a ton of adversity we face all the time. So this is definitely a good amount of adversity, and we passed the test tonight.
And I know you and Stuart Skinner both talk about the roller coasters of your position. It's so tough, but you guys are so close. How would you describe your relationship?
Yeah, no, it's great. I fell for him today. It was, a bad period by our team. Too many penalties. They played really well too. They're making great plays, earned some goals. He came to play. He made some big saves early. It was once I got in that there, it was, a different team in front of me for sure.
Awesome. We'll enjoy it, Calvin. Congrats.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's hear from Florida goalie Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah, it was a good hockey game. We had a good start. They came back, so it was a tight game. It was good chances. The series comes down to best of three, so I'm excited about that.
That's what you guys expected from this series going in, just non-stop tight action.
Yeah, exactly. They are a good team, so we respect them, and we're just it is what it is. We put that behind us and ready for next time.
Just to follow up, when you come off such a big win in the last game, you face a desperate team. Is this something you expected as far as the way they came out?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that they're not gonna give away. They're not gonna give up. So we knew that it's gonna be a hard game, and it was a hard game. So again, the series comes down to best of three, and we're excited about that.
What did you see on the winning goal?
All right, a little bit there from Sergei Bobrovsky. Lots more Oilers coming up here in our post-game show. I mentioned the Pickard save would be legendary if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup this entire game, and that comeback will be because of what you said, Drakes. When it was 3-0 Florida, I think 98% of the viewing population of people who follow hockey thought that the game and the series was over. And I guess it starts with the move to Pickard Frankie, which cues the comeback.
Yeah, and listen, we talked about it coming into the series. The Edmonton Oilers' depth has never been this good. And if you were going to beat the Florida Panthers, you were going to have to rely on the depth as well as your star players. And tonight, you get a good mix of both of that, and you get to see how advantageous it can be to take advantage of these situations. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who is clearly playing through something, gets things started. Darnell Nurse, who had a really nice game, gets a goal and an assist. And there's Podkolzin, who doesn't score as much as he would like to on his chances. And then Ryan Nugent-Hopkins does a great job setting up the goal by Jake Wallman, who of course gets things finished there. But that's a nice sequence for the Edmonton Oilers. Depth players to find a way to get the Oilers back into this game.
Yeah, a little love to the coaching staff of the Edmonton Oilers. And, again, as we talked about earlier, it's a tough call to make that goalie change going into the second period. But I can assure you that coming into this game, Game 4, there was a fair bit of back and forth among that coaching staff. Okay, do we start Calvin Pickard in Game 4? And it's not that Stu Skinner to this point in the series has been bad. It's just that Bobrovsky has been better, and there were ill-timed goals. Not bad goals, but just when you need a save, they weren't getting it on a continued basis. And then also, you look at the change up front and bringing Jeff Skinner into the equation. They take out Arvidsson, a very popular player, an energy guy, and the debate among the group there was, okay, do we take out Podkolzin? Do we take out Trent Frederick, or do we take out Arvidsson? And Podkolzin came up big in Game 4 to prove that they made the right call.
Well, Chris Noblik and the tweaks that he does make, even the primary on the Wallman goal came from Kapanen, who at that point had only played something like 5 minutes in the game. So all of a sudden, he was the least amount played in terms of time on ice, and now all of a sudden, he's finding a way to the score sheet. So again, a nice button to push.
Frankie, you mentioned Darnell Nurse, who has a rough start, takes one of those penalties that leads to the first goal and didn't really have a good first period, and then comes out and gets that goal and assist. And one of the main reasons they turned it around. Let's hear from Darnell Nurse.
A lot had gone wrong for you. How did you manage to stay calm and do what you did in the second?
Yeah, we came in and said we got to get our heads out of our arses, I think, and just get to work. And that's what we did there in the second. We just, whether it was a puck race, a battle in the corner, we just found a way to be harder. And as cliche as it was, hard work kind of worked us out of that spot we were in.
What can you say about a performance that's bigger there?
He was amazing. He's done that countless times over the course of the season, countless times over the course of this playoff run. He steps up in big moments for us, and no difference in that.
Some of the guys were saying after Game 3 that Leon talked to the team, afterwards, and kind of see him then practice what he preaches. And those games that you've won, he scores in overtime. What's that mean?
Yeah, he's one of the leaders on this team, one of the best players in the world for a reason. He not only says what he's going to do, he backs up with his play and his action, and that's what makes him an amazing leader. And we get into overtime and those tense moments, and he has an ability to relax and then just make plays, and he gets rewarded for working hard in it.
How were you able to refocus after that heartbreaking goal at 19 seconds?
Yeah, we just came in the room and took a deep breath, and I think everyone had the realization that after the first period down 3-0, we had the opportunity to come out and play overtime. We'd all be very happy with it. So that was the mindset and the approach we took, and obviously there was pushes back and forth and chances back and forth, but we stuck with it and made the one convert.
You also have puck goals, and just kind of factoring in on a number of these goals, the sort of fourth-line player that work ethic kind of exemplified, sort of making his night in that spot.
Yeah, he's Pods gives everything. It doesn't just need to be a game day. It could be a practice day. It could be an off day. He gives everything, and got rewarded for it tonight. But that's the work ethic.